We all know the importance of correct technique when lifting weights, and we all know how important it is to make sure your form is correct. Not only stop yourself from getting injured, but also to ensure you get consistent results. That is stating the obvious, but I am sure I am going to surprise you all when I say this, that lifting with correct form is not the be all and end all when it comes to seeing results. It is very important, but there are other things that are equally important. And when you are lifting with correct form, the same basic principles applies to almost every exercise. You never want to lock out your joints when they perform an exercise, because that takes tension off the muscle and that makes the exercise far too easy. You always want to make sure you complete the full range of motion from the top of the rep to the bottom of the rep. You really want to stretch the muscle out, which is going to maximize the amount of tears you create in the muscle, which is going to maximize muscle growth. You want to always squeeze your muscles as hard as you possibly can at either the top of the rep or the bottom of the rep, depending on the exercise. Squeezing your muscles hard during a set, again, makes the exercise a lot harder and ensures you are getting full benefit from that exercise. You never want to use momentum during an exercise, because using momentum or swinging to get the weight up means even though you actually got the weight up, your muscles didn't lift that weight. If you swing the weight up and your muscles aren't moving the way, obviously you are getting no benefit from doing that exercise, because your muscles are not doing any of the work. Now, we all know how important it is to make sure we are using the correct weight when performing an exercise. There is no point in lifting way too heavy of a weight where you have to find ways to cheat the exercise to get the weight up, or you're not failing in the right rep range based on your training goals. There is no point in lifting a weight that is far too light, because it's not going to actually break your muscles down. You need to choose the correct weight for you as an individual. After you have watched my exercise demonstration videos, which I hope you have, you will start to realize that lifting with correct form is very simple to do, and all the basic principles I have just mentioned apply to basically almost every exercise, with only a few slight variations from exercise to exercise. So yes, lifting weight with correct form is obviously very important. You should always be doing everything you can to make sure your form is correct and you're activating the correct muscles during your workout. But as I have said to you 100 times before, the only thing I believe that is equally important as lifting with correct technique is your training intensity. I'll put it to you like this. If you are doing a set of, let's say, squats, your goals are to build muscle, and you know from watching my video rep ranges that if building muscle is your goal, you need to be failing in the rep range of 8 to 15 reps. If you squatted 12 reps with absolute perfect form, you lowered the weight down, pushed the weight back up through your heels and didn't lock out at the top of the rep, completed the full range of motion and just did that obviously perfectly for 12 reps, would that be best way to build muscle? No, it would not. The best way for you to build muscle is to do exactly what I just said. Get your form absolutely perfect. But just as important as your correct form is you need to literally squat until you cannot do another rep without dropping the weight on top of yourself. You need to combine perfect form with 100% training intensity. You need to train your muscles to full failure. You cannot pull out of a set until you literally cannot perform one more rep. You would get very minimal benefit from doing 12 squats with perfect form if you are only training at 60 or 70% training intensity. You cannot go through the motions in your workouts. You need to make them intense, you need to make them hard, especially on your legs. You need to really break the muscles down as much as you possibly can. Now, when I train my legs or any muscle group at all, I honestly train to the point of physical pain. I don't want you to be scared of the word physical pain. All I mean by that is I just want you to push your body to its absolute limits every single workout. It's not a bad thing. It is not a dangerous pain, but you need to literally destroy your muscles as much as you can if you want to see them grow. I promise you that perfect form alone is not going to get you there. You need to combine perfect form with maximizing training intensity to get the full benefit from that workout. In my exercise demonstration, the form is correct, but the training intensity is not there, because these videos are only teaching you how to do the exercise correctly. Now, however, in my full workout videos with voiceovers, the reason I wanted to do them videos is so you could learn correct technique from the exercise demonstrations, but combine that with the intensity you see the full workouts with the voiceovers. Correct technique, different training variations and training intensity go hand to hand. Training intensity and correct technique are just as important as the other, and I can't stress how hard it is to see results if one of them is missing. One of my pet hates in the fitness industry, even though I can understand why people do it, is when people fully obsess over the minor details of an exercise. Yes, correct form is important, but I see people explaining exercises that they say you must tilt your head slightly this way or else you're not going to exercise correctly. Then they perform the exercise with no intensity whatsoever, and convince people that all the little tips and little tricks they know is going to be the difference in whether or not they see results in the gym. The reason why people use all their big words and talk about tilting your head and turning your head this way, and you must use the grip to hit this part of your muscles, because they want to sound smart. By making things sound complicated to people, makes people with little gym understanding feel like they need that person's help, and that this is how they get business, and that is how they operate. Now, which is fine, because what they are saying is probably correct to an extent, but there is no right or wrong in bodybuilding. Everyone is different, everyone has their own methods, and I respect that. If you're making progress doing something, then it works. The only way you can determine whether or not something works or something doesn't is by measuring your progress while using your training method. You need to get your form correct, you need to be going through the right motions of exercise, activating the right muscles, but if your training intensity is not there, you are wasting your time. Go through the full range of motion on every exercise. Squeeze as hard as you can at the bottom of every rep, depending on the exercise. Never lock out your joints. Keep constant tension on the muscle, and do not use momentum, and make sure your muscles are moving the weight. It is so simple, it is not rocket science. These are all the fundamentals of every exercise. I show you how to perform these correctly in all my exercise demonstration videos, so make sure you do get to your form right, but don't stress over the little bit. Correct form and training intensity is just as important as each other. If you're using correct form and you're literally killing yourself in the gym, and you are pushing, you are hurting, you are breaking those muscles down as much as you can, then every workout you will see progress so much faster than focusing on irrelevant little details people like to tell you to make themselves sound smarter. So you need to train hard if you want to see results. The harder you work, the more pain you put your muscles through, the better your results are going to be. Thanks for watching the video, guys.